Hello? Okay ba? Good morning, everyone, and our very warm welcome to everyone who are here with us in person, and those who are attending the event virtually. Since we are simultaneously broadcasting this through Facebook Live and through Zoom. So this is the third episode of the monthly ethics seminar series, also known as MES, of the University of the Philippines Diliman Ethics Board. We also dub this as Etika Inan at Etika Alaman. This public service information drive is a regular mainstay activity of the UP Diliman Research Ethics Board happening every second Thursday of every month. It intends to present lectures and discussions on matters concerning the responsible and ethical conduct of research, most especially those involving human participants. It is designed to be informal and conversational, hence the idea of having conversations and exchange of ideas over lunch. The UP Diliman Research Ethics Board will endeavor to present discussions and lectures on topics that are most relevant to the current and very diverse research and scholarly needs of UP Diliman and other academic institutions, mindful of the requirements to always be up to date with the latest ethical approaches and standards in the conduct of research. I am Gretchen Velarde, the coordinator of the UP Diliman Research Ethics Board and your moderator for today's discussion. Before we begin, please allow me to read some reminders to all of our participants. So we encourage everyone, if you already have them, to have their lunch while listening to the guest speaker. Please also take note of your questions and feel comfortable and participate during the open forum, which will happen after the end of the lecture. At the end of the lecture, we also request everyone to kindly fill out the evaluation form, as we also highly appreciate any feedback and suggestions for us to improve the conduct of this seminar series. And then the certificate of attendance will be given upon completion of the evaluation form. So now, without dragging this much further, we are very glad and grateful to welcome our guest speaker and resource person for this month's ethics seminar with her lecture on the operationalization of the UP Diliman College of Home Economics Research Ethics Committee. Professor Emeritus Dr. Maria Patricia Verzo Azanza of the College of Home Economics Research Ethics Committee, or UP Diliman Chair. So Dr. Asanza, a professor emeritus of the College of Home Economics, holds a PhD degree in food science from the University of New South Wales in Sydney, Australia, and is the current chair, actually also the first ever chair, of the College of Home Economics Research Ethics Committee. Her expertise in the field of food science and nutrition in the country has earned her numerous awards and accolades, such as the 2019 DOST Utility Model Registration Award and the Julian Banzon Medal for Outstanding Research and Development Award for Applied Research in 2017, to name a few. She also served as the director of the Industrial Technology Development Institute, or ITDI. This is under DOST, ma'am, no? Apo. Of DOST from 2015 to 2017. Her steadfast and unwavering leadership as the current chair of the College of Home Economics Research Ethics Committee has resulted in its accordance of a Level 1 Philippine Health Research Ethics Board, or FREB, accreditation, with an ongoing intention to apply and file for their application for a Level 2 accreditation. To impart her wealth of knowledge and valuable experiences, please welcome Professor Emeritus Dr. Azanza.
Good morning, everyone. Uh, Welcome to this monthly ethics seminar series. I was asked to present, and my topic is the operationalization of the UPCHEREC. The outline would be the objective of the seminar, timeline in the establishment of the CHEREC, statistics on protocol review, and the challenges that we encounter in the operationalization of the CHEREC. Next slide, please. So we would like to share, the UPCHEREC would like to share our experiences in the constitution of our committee and the challenges in the institutionalization of workable operational steps, including processes, policies, training, and membership for my committee. Next slide, please. So as early as 2019, there was already some talk about the creation of the UPCHEREC. So there were preliminary meetings, and we were granted the presence of a PREB expert, Dr. Clarita Reyes, who in one of our Office of Research meeting, and she lectured on accreditation, application, as well as SOP for our ethics review committees. So after which we undertook the basic training on ethics and SOP workshop, and then we started drafting the SOP for submission. It was a quick one. 2020, we submitted our level 1 accreditation application, and we were able to get the accreditation at level 1. I do not know why, but we were able to get it. It was a simple approach. We made it lean and mean as we understood it and submitted it, because I understood that it will be a learning process and we will revise the SOP once we have learned with application, actual experience. And then from 2020 onwards, we started reviewing. I did not use the default. The default usually for review would be just the chair of the committee plus the member secretary to determine the level of review that the protocols submitted would undergo in terms of review level, exempted, expedited, or full review. We were all working at that time from 2020 onwards, actually until early 2021 with expedited, because I did not assume that we know all the expertise of all the sub-discipline, because we have 7 sub-disciplines within the college, and my expertise is just food science. And my member secretary would have their own or his own expertise. But we are receiving an array. So we always included at that time the scientist member, a scientist from the sub-discipline concerned, and a non-scientist reviewer for ethics concern. We have a priest and a barangay leader as our representative. Nung una, medyo matagal, because we're doing this at an all-expedited review. Medyo matagal. But we were trying to learn the ropes, and we were trying to establish ano ba ang tama at ano ba ang mali sa SOPs namin at paano namin to mag-fast track. At dati dumadating sa amin ang protocols or ang proposal without due processing masyado sa department level from where the proposal came from. So yun ang at that time medyo matagal kasi lahat ng cleaning up sa proposal nangyayari sa committee. From 2021 to 2022, we created a system of review at the level of the section of each sub-discipline, where the cleaning of the review, technical and ethics is already being done by REC representative for ethics, as well as the scientific representative trained within the REC committee. After which, they will be submitting it to our REC with the endorsement of the thesis advisor, the principal investigator, plus the department chair. So within the department, they are very clear that some form of review of those who have training with ethics review, scientific as well as non-scientific members, within each sub-discipline, within each section of the department of the college, will be doing its part before it reaches us. By that time, we are able to do this with 2 sub-disciplines. Ang ibig sabihin nun, kaya na naming mag-review ng maraming undergrad thesis. Kasi ang undergrad thesis namin, per semester, pag hindi COVID, or miski nga COVID, 30 per subdiscipline. Meron pang 60 per subdiscipline. So you can imagine kung walang pre-cleaning, walang gates, hindi natin matatapos sa REB yun. And so from 2021 to 2022, with the help of FIREB, we were able to utilize already the more stringent reviewing using a modified default that they were saying na kailangan chair, member secretary, but ikinekwento ko sa ating REB, lagi ko pa rin linalagyan ng isang technical scientific person from the discipline to assist us because we were not saying alam lahat namin ang kaalaman ng isang disiplina. So I always include a scientist member. And facilitated ito. Mas mabilis na to. Lahat ng isinulat naming SOP timeline for review at the level ng REC as approved by the FIREB, nasusunod na namin. So, from 2022 up to the present time, laging extended ang aming level 1 accreditation. But we were advised already to apply mid-year of this year for level 2. Dinifer lang namin because we have to rewrite our SOP to meet the new requirements for SOP for level 2 accreditation. But definitely, we will apply for level 2 accreditation while still awaiting for the final application of the REB and recognition of the REB sa FIREB with accreditation. So, hindi ko naman malulose ang opportunity ng College of Home Economics for the review process of its researches with human participation. So, we are now actually doing also full board review. Medyo mahirap, medyo iterative ang process, but it's really exciting. Hindi kami makaka-apply ng level 2 without full board review. And you would see based on our statistics that we are already actually doing full board review. So, based on our history, we have already 74 protocols reviewed. Dati kasi, noong 2021 to 2022, meron kaming quota. Hindi ko tinatanggap kaagad lahat kasi alam ko ang limitations ng ano namin. Kailangan naming i-refine ang functioning ng REC. Otherwise, malulose namin ang accreditation namin. At yun ang minonitor sa amin ng FIREB. Hindi lahat tinatanggap namin. Meron munang moratorium ang lahat, ang ibang researches based lang sa quota. Pinapupunta namin sa ibang ethics review body ang mga may human participation. So, you would notice 2020 nung nag-start kami, very minimal. 2021, increasing. Medyo logarithmic naman yung amin. And by 2023, you would see the increase because we are now reviewing the undergrad thesis of 2 sections of 2 sub-disciplines in my college. At ito ay marami. So, you would see that a majority in terms of percentage by proponent, pinakamarami ang undergrad, followed by graduate, and we are also reviewing faculty and staff proposal for funding outside of UP. Nagpag-review na rin kami ng isinasubmit sa DOST. May personally funded, meron yung mga funded by UP Diliman, pero nakakapag-review na kami ng faculty researches. Challenges. Funding. We started with 0 funding. Wala. Talagang wala. So, we relied on donations from faculty. Marami namang nagdo-donate. karamihan sa amin yung publication money namin, awards or ano, idinodonate namin or yung extension awards namin, idinodonate namin. Kasi hindi siya tatakbo. And then we asked the Chancellor's Office for training funds kasi nagkaroon ako ng problema. Our training were only from FIREB. Hindi masyado slanted sa sa health and sciences, and we made my cry for social science twist sa aming and we did that, and we were also lucky that CHED offered a free training. Ang sikreto namin sa college ay hindi namin lililimatahan ang aming membership ang scientific members namin. Kung sino ang gustong sumama, pinasasama namin para ang review process mabilis. So meron kaming regular and alternate member. Kung nagre-request ang department ng 2-3 alternate, sige. And also the dean, the office of the dean, because we have a non-affiliate member that they would not understand. But we have to give tokens at the end kasi ang dami rini-review. And we were so lucky that Paris Priest ng Diliman ang nakuha namin at saka barangay kasama sa barangay ng aming ang nakuha namin. People, we had recruitment training of members, but this is mostly non-scientific, non-affiliated. We still have problems in getting this, but for scientific members, wala kaming problema. Excited lahat silang sumali kasi para makatulong sa bawat department. And then initial problem when we still was learning the ropes, turnaround time of review process based on schedule. It is now not based on the REC, ang log time. It is based on how the proponent as well as department is reacting to the comments of our REC. Because the REC is working on time at this point in time. Pag nanghingi sila ng schedule, we accommodate them. Ngayon yung walang And then, organizational concerns, meron kaming 2. Organizational concern at the level ng REC. When we had the first approved SOP, it was not perfect, but we made it work. But when we tried to revise it, since we are practicing already, it was an easy task. 2 half days lang ang ginawa namin, na-rewrite namin ang SOP namin. Kasi alam na namin ang ginagawa. And then sponsoring the training needed to educate our membership, that's always a challenge. We are practically asking for donations and consideration from various offices. Acceptance, and also in terms of organizational concerns for the REC, meron pa rin namang kaunting acceptance of the dictates of ethics review for all researches that will involve human participation to be reviewed. Meron pa rin kahit papanong kaunti, pero hindi na masyadong ganun kalaki ang problema namin. For organizational concern, when we will ultimately align with the REB, we know that we have to give up our accreditation. Accreditation that we labored to have starting 2019 down to the present time, and we might have level 2 accreditation, and we have to relearn the level 2 dictates. Magiging iba na kasi iba ang pagtitingin mo sa vulnerabilities and risk, iibahin mo na. But integration of the UPD REB means to the REB means relearning the new process for review and giving up the possible level 2 accreditation. So medyo mahirap Sa akin, oo, pero alam kong mangyayari. But of course, hindi lang sa akin yon, it is for the whole membership and the whole college. And of course, hindi yon madali para sa ano, pero tinatanggap namin. So that ends my presentation, and I welcome the questions. Do you want me to read the first 3 questions? Meron kang 3 binigay sa akin. Gusto kong sagutin ko na. The first 3 questions. Exemption for the UP Research Ethics Board. I think for all researches, what is pertinent is if it involves human participation, then it should be submitted to the board once it's operational. Otherwise, you use other ethics bodies. How is ethics now in the advent of technology? I think there's a lot of technology development, and it's very variable. And for as long as the protection of human participation is there, as well as especially for anonymity and hurt and others, then and beneficence, then wala namang problema. What is the implication of artificial intelligence in the operationalization of College Home Economics Research Ethics Committee? I think they had a funded research in AI. Parang kilala ko na itong mga batang ito. I think pag gugawa kayo ng dataset for artificial intelligence and its algorithm, you will involve human participants, and they have to be protected. The data you would get and the anonymity of the person that you would get, and the rewards, the returns that you would give should be there. And that's part and parcel. We are so critical, not only in the protection, the anonymity, but also the return of what you did. Pag may kinuha kayo sa kanya, ano ang ibabalik mo sa kanya? Very clear sa amin yon sa College of Home Economics, sa Ethics Committee namin. Ang return sa nagbigay ay ano. And meron kami tinatawag na full return of information. So dapat kung ano ang napag-aralan sa kanila ay ibibigay rin sa kanila. Tapos klarong-klaro kung ano ang kukunin sa kanila. Walang unknown, wala kayong itatago. Kung ano yung mangyayari sa kanilang kaalaman na ibibigay sa inyo, ay dapat ipaalam. Minsan nakaka-receive ako ng problema kasi ayaw nilang hindi maibigay lahat ng impormasyon kasi magkaroon ng bias sa pagbigay ng impormasyon. Patuloy na sa INC. Kailangan nating ibigay yung impormasyon na yun sa kanila. Sige, meron pa ba tayong ibang tanong?
Meron pong question dito, Doc, from Facebook, sorry. Maybe siguro po yung sa first question regarding sa exemption. Hello?
Yes.
Oho. Kasi siguro I think they're asking it because yun na nga, medyo unique po yung practice ng CHEREC po, no? Na kasi usually sa ibang REBs, it's only the chair of the REB that decides on the exemption. So hindi na siya dinadaan sa review panel. So usually mabilis po yung turnaround time. Oho. Pero yung sa CHEREC po is that you invite a specialist that will aid in the classification ng
Binibigay
exemption.
mo na.
Opo, opo.
So, nangyayari yun within the department bago i-akyat.
Oo.
So, yung processing na yun sa department, hindi pa naipapasok sa amin. Kaya kasi sasama yung magbigay.
Oo. I think po yung nagtanong po siguro yung concern niya is, maapektuhan po ba nito yung turnaround time pagbalik po sa kanila? Not
Ano
so much.
kasi, hindi mo pwedeng, in reality, when you handle the operation of an ethics review body, hindi mo pwedeng akuin sa REB na ang chair, ang member secretary niya ay madidetermine kung anong klase kaagad. Kung hindi niya expertise yun, paano? That is a basic question sa akin. Siguro maliit lang yung aking ginagalawan. Pero basic sa akin yon. Hindi ako magdi-decide o ang committee ko magdi-decide kung walang expertise na nagsasabi na ito dapat ang direction niyan. Lalo na hindi ko expertise yung field. Kasi napakahirap. Napaka-diverse ng aming 7 ang subdisciplines ko. So, yung input na yon, actually mas nakakadali siya kaysa nakakabagal. Kasi otherwise, ang i-defer level sa REC, tataas. Kasi hindi nyo alam eh. Sasabihin nyo, hindi natin alam. Mag-invite tayo ng expert.
Thank you po for that, Dr. Asanza. Yung isang question po dito from Facebook is, galing po kay EA Mendoza. Sabi niya, hypothetically, in one of the hindi ko maintindihan, departments, sorry, kasi, shortcut niya, students take an internship and gather notes during such internship. The faculty in charge is directing the internship focus of the graduate student to match her research dissertation so that it is the interns who get to gather the data she would use for her dissertation. Is this ethical? Are allowing the exploitation of students to gather data for personal academic research of professors?
Okay. It is at the level of the approval of the faculty or the instructor thesis. If it is shown that the faculty is exploiting the students, then there is a big problem. It is not ethical. As simple as that.
Siguro ma'am yung question na 'to kasi, obviously ito rin po yung naging, hindi naman po siguro issue pero ongoing na endeavor ng other REBs na parang, yes, may clearance na for the protocols that they've submitted to be reviewed. Pero upon the implementation of the project, na-realize na medyo may unethical practices and some of those protocols were not followed. In general po ito ha. Yung question po kasi ngayon would be, up to what extent yung capacity ng REB or REC to actually address an ethical conduct of research after they already received yung clearance?
If you are not following the exact design that you have approved, then it's pwede mong i-revoke ang mo. Pwedeng i-revoke ang clearance mo. And once na-revoke ang clearance mo, i-implement mo without clearance.
Yung, pagdating po siguro sa kasi question din po 'to nung ibang nagpapa-review. So, for example, if they've, observed, misconduct sa research, tinatanong po nila saan po sila puwedeng pumunta? Kunwari po yung practice po sa CHEREC, do you have, a mechanism wherein people can actually submit their
Yes.
complaints?
Yes. We can receive it. We can receive comments. Meron kaming capability. Kasama sa SOP natin yan eh. Kasama sa SOP. And there is a constant review. May updating ng documents ng approved protocols. Nagmo-monitor kami. Nagsasubmit sila.
Meron pa pong, additional question also from Facebook. Can you provide examples of complex ethical dilemmas that the REC has encountered in operationalizing its functions within the College of Home Economics, and how were they resolved?
Okay. If for example, we have sub-disciplines that would handle specifically young children. Okay? If young children are involved, then we really automatic yon, vulnerable yon, or elderly. Ang ano namin nun ay kailangang tingnan, nagfo-full board kami pag young children, elderly are involved. Tapos, we ask experts to guide us on how to best handle it. And meron namang WHO guidelines and guidelines on how to handle the elderly and young, to handle it professionally and ethically, and we adopt that. Hindi ko lang pwedeng sabihin kung eksakto kung ano yung ano, but yun yung mga recent na nangyari sa akin. Kasi there are those technologies, for example, ancestral technology that is kept within a vicinity. Elderly, several elderly, several young children will be involved. We follow yung ethical dictates ng ano, and international yon. Meron namang guidelines on how to go about it. Yes.
And then, following that, ma'am, in what ways does the committee balance the need for rigorous ethical oversight with the imperative to facilitate timely and efficient approval processes for research projects within the College of Home Economics?
We have submitted our timeline, and our timeline for the SOPs processing within the REC is within 2 to 3, ilan ba yan? Ang exempted natin pag na-receive natin, pag nagbigay sila ng schedule, kung malinis ang papel within the day, nagagawa namin. Pero mag-i-schedule sila sa availability namin kasi we have to check yung availability ko at availability nila at yung availability ng aming college ng member secretary, and then they will present yon and bank yon. There are times we would evaluate 15, 20, and so on. Within an hour or two, kung maayos ang papel, papaseso yon. Lahat ng exempted lalabas. Lahat naman ang may question pa madi-defer. Depende sa time ng principal investigator to address ang question namin pag na-defer. Hindi galing sa amin. Facilitative kami kesa sa hindi kami tapos na yung time na kami ang matagal. Kasi nagpatulong kami sa department. Kasi ang department, may pinaproseso na nila kaagad. Kasi sila yung may expertise. Otherwise, hindi namin magagawa yung lahat sa atin tatapon.
So most of the delays ngayon, ma'am, na na-encounter nyo, it's actually from the principal investigators addressing the concerns
Yes.
From panel reviewers.
Okay. Yes.
Usually po, in terms of, kasi in terms of the efficiency po of the approval, ang ginawa niyo pong system is that the sub-disciplines within the College of Home Economics, may sari-sarili po silang REC representatives.
Yes, lahat.
Para po before masubmit
Meron
yung
ng
for
initial.
review, may initial filtering system na po siya.
Ang filtering system in terms of ethics review is their human participation for the REC reviewer or representative within the sub-discipline. But for the technical, yung technical soundness, ina-attest yun ng department. Ina-attest ng advisor, ina-attest ng department chair.
And you were able to arrive sa ganung practice, ma'am, after you've given trainings also doon sa
And yung rigors nun. Because yung challenge nun, yung realization nun, internal sa amin lumabas. Tapos nung nakikipag-usap nga ako sa inyo, lumalabas. This is also a similar practice similar practice sa may variation lang sa UP Manila. And tinitingnan namin ang sample sa Tineo. It's almost the same thing. Nag-arrive kami sa pare-parehong sistema dahil sa hirap mag-review kung itatapon lahat sa amin. Kasi mahirap talaga. Yun yung sinasabi ko. Once you have the SOP for the REP, let it work. Let us work with it. Let us try. Pero hindi ka agad lahat. But rather, you go in representative steps and develop the system, the policies, and revise the SOP accordingly.
Actually, ma'am, in relation to that, yung next question is, how does the Research Ethics Committee collaborate with other academic departments and external stakeholders to enhance the ethical standards and practices across the College of Home Economics?
We have regular meetings every last Monday of the month, and every action of the REC is communicated within the right channels within the college.
Medyo general po ito na question on very parang humanistic principle to, ma'am. What specific measures does the committee take to ensure that research conducted within the College of Home Economics upholds the principles of respect for participants' autonomy, beneficence, and justice?
Masyadong parang Miss Universe ang tanong. Ano naman, these are the principles, these are the general principle, guiding principles of ethics review. And our SOP is advocating it. And I am sure that we are following it.
Lastly, on this one, ma'am, although na-address niyo po ito sa presentation niyo, how will the UP Diliman CHEREC, College of Home Economics REC, coexist with the UP Diliman Research Ethics Board from an anonymous Zoom participant?
There is no problem with the integration because I will always believe the UP Diliman and the college in general believes. I'm talking to the dean here most of the time and the membership of the REC because we cannot separate the REC, although we have been operating since 2020. You cannot operate separately because this is one CU and we are one with mahirap maging hiwalay. And ang role na lang ng CHEREC is to share our learnings. And I think malaki ang maibibigay namin at maitutulong namin because nag-threading na kami sa deep end. And malaki ang mai-share namin with this type of experience. Yeah.
Hi po. Thank you po, ma'am, for imparting your experience, and I think ma-appreciate ko talaga ng lahat ng nasa UP Diliman yung na-share niyo po. Question has been tackled earlier. Pero siguro tatanungin ko na rin po siya na point blank yung I think one of the main hurdles sa starting ng REC is yung time na ginagamit for nasasayang sa parang cleaning, yung pre-processing and before pa masabak sa actual na review. So ano po kaya yung parang pinaka main solution to that na naiisip nyo?
Ano kasi,
Addresses it.
lahat tayo ay naggagawa ng research. Siguro lahat tayo nandito. We do research proposals, we finish research proposals, we defend our papers, we defend our protocols for funding and so on. This is just refining it with the realization that we have to protect human participation. Yun lang. Yung realization na yun and that appreciation. Sino ba yun? Ako ba yun? So that I think nadadagdagan lang yung ating consciousness to protect. Hindi siya bago. It is a must that we include the protection of human participants. I'm an old researcher. Nung una, wala rin akong ethics review nila. Kasi nung 1988 na nag-umpisa ako mag-research, wala pa ito. No? But now that it's there and we realize and we have to protect our human participants, then we have to do so. And as researchers, as faculty members who would like to write your researches, you should be conscious about it. It should not be considered a burden. but rather a requirement and something that we must appreciate because it is something for the protection of human participants in our work.
Hello? Sira talaga siya. Ayun. I think po yung question niya rin po kasi is on the more po on the logistical aspects po of the submission. So, and I think partly na-address niyo po yun eh. Siguro po sa experience sa UP Manila, so they have a digital platform where you submit your protocols. Tapos, although I think yung sa sinasabi naman ni Doc Azanza, yung college mismo may filtration system na sila nung requirements before it gets submitted for review. Usually ang practice ng mga REBs naman po, 'di ba may screening committees, may screening tech po sila. Tapos supposedly lahat ng mga kulang na mga data and requirements, actually the moment ma-realize na kulang yung submissions nila within the day, the REB will inform the PIs actually of that one. I think yung one thing that we've learned really from UP Manila sa experience ng sa Diliman would be to really have digital workspace where everything would be much easier in terms of yung tracking tapos yung responsiveness din actually. So
Ang sinasabi mo is the amount of documents that should be forwarded and the quality.
yes
But
ma'am.
but yung linalaman iba yun eh.
Yes ma'am. Kasi po yung
Yung
concern niya rin
yung
ma'am.
filtering nun iba yun.
Opo.
Inherent yon, incumbent yon sa gumagawa ng proposal at
Uh-huh.
nagre-review ng proposal within your discipline.
Pero to be fair din po kasi before talaga yung better technology in terms of yung managing yung mga documents, medyo mas matagal po dati lalo na kung
Oo.
hard copies po, 'di ba? Yung
Pero digital na
submissions.
ngayon, madali na.
Opo. Kasi yun din po yung concern niya na actually some of the delays would actually come from yung submission
Oo.
of the requirements. So, pero yun din po yung pinag-uusapan namin sa UP Diliman na REB na on our part, the ethical thing that we can do is to make sure na efficient yung pag-process namin ng lahat ng mga documents and also make sure na malinaw po siguro yung pag-forecast ng mga requirements. In a sense, siguro iniisip namin with the UP Manila na iRev, meron kasi silang website na ganon. Iniisip namin, it can be improved. Like for example, before you can click submit, if may kulang kang submission, i-red flag ka,
Magre-return siya.
you'll be disallowed. Oo, so siguro on our end, may mga gano'n na mga practices to ensure more efficient na processing talaga. Opo, which really helped right now na maganda na talaga yung technology for that. And siguro yung parang for the principal investigators, meron silang alert system in terms of the turnaround time. Oo, so may prompting automatically. Opo.
Ang aanuhin nyo lang, one, you should have the funding for it. And second, because the funding will be translated in the technology as well as in the manpower. Securing the money for this because we have to later on consider na dapat self-sustaining ang REB. At this point in time, ang kolehiyo ay nag-ooperate sa isang staff at isang temporary staff na binigay sa amin, but maliit lang yon. But we are able to communicate within 1 or 2 days yung mga kulang. Hindi yung mga papeles, hindi yun ang matagalan talaga yung dinalaman. Yung ethics review. Actually nga, pati technical Sasabihin nyo, anong pakialam ng ethics committee sa technical information na chinek na, halimbawa, master's thesis? Merong punto doon. Pag ang technical matter na kwene-question is related to the harm of human participant, then it's still the concern of the ethics committee, and we have the right to say something.
And also ma'am, meron pong another question dito from Ulysses Kutamora. Sabi niya, just in case po there were changes in the protocol, like the research design or even sampling design during data gathering due to unforeseen circumstances, do we need to submit
Yes.
amendment forms? Yeah, or can we just inform the REC about changes through writing? Kasi pag amendment form, need for approval pa sa REC, would that suffice?
And there is a process because the amendment may not have been conscious about the protection of human participants, and that will be rechecked. Mahirap, stringent, pero we are protecting human participation. Hindi pa nga dito yung akin yung animal protection and environment protection kasi sinasubmit din yun. Halimbawa, pag mag-a-animal study kami, sinasubmitan kang iba. Pag meron ka namang ini-endanger sa environment, meron ka rin sinasubmitang iba. Pag may ethnic group kang ma-endanger, meron ka pa rin sinasubmitang iba. Those are the rigors of doing research.
Sa check,
Magsasubmit. Yes. Pero kung expedited, i-review, titingnan at the level pa rin ng exempted, expedited, and full board.
college, and how were they addressed? Sorry, what were common or remarkable negative feedbacks from the faculty and students regarding the dynamics of ethics review in your college, and how were they addressed?
The students, of course, would consider the ethics review a burden, an additional work. But the faculty in charge or the thesis advisor, with their maturity, should guide the students in the realization that human participation must be protected. And we have to inculcate sa minds of our students that if we are doing research, we must protect our human participants. And that's how it should be handled and nothing else. Ano pa ang gagawin natin kung hindi natin sasabihin yung totoo? We have to protect the human participants. And of course, at the start, may resistance sa faculty mismo. But eventually, with that training and realization and looking at improvements in the system, naging-ayos naman. But it is the role of the thesis advisor as well as the representatives of the department of each subdiscipline to tell the students how precious the human participants are in their research, and we have to protect them.
Actually, siguro ma'am, yung inquiry nila would be very particular, for example, on how you handled yung mga ganong klaseng.
Sinasabi ko diretso sa bata. Sinasabi ko diretso sa mga department at sa ano. And dapat sabihin. Bakit hindi ko sasabihin when it's needed? Kailangan sabihin. Ang advisor kailangan sinasabi sa estudyante. Ang department chair dapat pinapaalalahan ng ano. And before I was the ORP chair, Office of Research and Publication, before I relinquished it, dati I was always telling this. Because we wanted to have this office. Because we are handling children, elderly. We are handling food. We are handling food for vulnerable. Hindi lang food for healthy adults. We are handling food for immunocompromised, for vulnerables. And we are at the level of processing, and we at a level of ready-to-eat food service. Pag hindi namin tiningnan yun, paano?
And any questions from the floor? Meron ba?
Ano kasi, siguro ang sasabihin ko sa audience is that you should never consider this as a hindrance from doing research. Because this is just a step. Kaya in-institutionalize ito ng ating gobyerno ay kailangan. Buong mundo ay institutionalize ito. And for us to do quality work, we have to follow. Dahil merong bearing sa quality ng research natin. Hindi ito special sa inyo na gusto lang kayong pahirapan. But rather, we have to conform to a certain standard, and that standard should be respected. Ano yan, iho? Yes. Yes. I-re-revoke ang ano. Marguliri, kung i-declare siya as revoke ang ethical and clearance niya. If they will proceed, hindi mo naman physically, hindi ka na pwedeng magsano dahil ano yon. You will just inform the college and the funding institution na na-revoke ang ethical review nun. Yun lang ang magiging sanction.
I think yung strength po nung CHEREC is yung firm po kayo dun sa sistema nyo na yung mga experts po lang yung nag-review ng protocols as it should be. Ang tanong ko lang po is sobrang diverse po kasi ng UP Diliman. So paano nyo po, ano pong ideas nyo kung paano yun mag-translate to the university?
REB.
Yes, opo.
That's why I was asking on the onstart, there should be representation from the various colleges because we cannot even pretend that we are expert of engineering because I will be asked to be the Secretary of Science and Technology. I am from the College of Home Economics, Science and Technology, Engineering, and College of Science will be under my purview. So I will not pretend. I will get their expertise and let them educate us related to human participation and the technology involved in it and the science, the technical matter in it, if it's sound, as well as the protection of those participants in these specific researches. They should be present. I think in the definition of the function of the REB, it should be clear that clearinghouse should involve the various colleges because we do not have that expertise, broad expertise for everything. Can you imagine that? Ang undergrad daw ng engineering ay 5,000. Baka hindi nyo alam ang gagawin namin sa REB. Baka lahat ng buhok namin ay kulay puti na bago matapos yung NBank meeting nun per semester. But this can be done. I know this can be done. If the college representation is there and there is a clear system for it. Yun yung sinasabi ko noon pa.
To also answer, siguro kasi again, we have not fully functioned yet because of certain reasons. Pero yung ini-imagine talaga namin would be to follow yung academic clusters that are well-defined sa Diliman. So you have 4 academic clusters now. So science and technology, social science and law, yung mga ganon. So each of that academic cluster would have their own panel. And we're thinking na depende dun sa volume and need for review, pwedeng each panel would have their own sub-panels. Oo. Kasi like for example, sa UP Manila, they have a separate panel only for undergrads. And then that panel is composed of multiple sub-panels depending on the discipline. And even then, actually, medyo nahihirapan pa rin sila considering na maliit lang yung population ng UP Manila. So what we're thinking actually now, while we're preparing for accreditation, ang ginagawa namin would be to invite a lot of alternate members as well. Kasi yun yung na-encounter na problems ng UP Manila na, for example, if they only have one alternate member at for na reviewer, at kung absent yung both, yung regular at alternate, madidelay talaga. So, I think,
ang ginagawa namin within the sub-discipline, most of them can be alternate members because they have been trained. So, train, kung may training na available, bino-broadcast
pwede
namin.
parang mamangka sila sa
Lahat
multiple
sila,
panels.
pwede silang within the department, may training sila sa sa ethics review.
Yeah.
Lahat ng scientific member ay dapat may training
Opo. Yun
within
lang
the
siguro po
department.
yung challenge din kasi again for any panel member to begin to function as a reviewer, kailangan may training.
Yes.
And may dalawang basic na training na requirement. Ang problema rin at the same time is yung the logistics on making sure that everyone can be trained, which we are working on right now. But at the same time, yung training availability rin because the resources of FREB and NIH, it's also limited.
Kailangan,
So-
yun yung sinasabi namin, sana pwede, miski yung trainings. Kasi fundamentals naman yan eh. Yung SOP as well as yung basic training ay makukuha naman natin sa iba. Or, yung ginagawa sa UP Manila, ano sila, kumukuha sila ng competency for that. Kasi yung at least yung core training at yung continuing training ay dapat meron tayong competency sa Diliman. Mag-create tayo ng office for that competency. Siguro yung mga pa-retire na katulad ng UP Manila, ang pwedeng lecturer nila dun sa competency yun ay yung mga matatanda nang nagre-retire na nag-experience na nito.
Pero valid talaga na concern yung ganon in terms of the expertise. I think more than anything,
Yun ang pinakamalaking problema.
siya ng marami. Or siguro, merong misconstruction din na ano yung role ng REV rin. Kasi technically, we're not the ones reviewing. We're the ones facilitating the review. Pero at the same time, yung function talaga namin to ensure that the review process is apt doon sa protocol is to ensure that the panel we create is actually very much addressing yung niche disciplines. Like for example, teatro or film. So meron siyang particular na needs na typical social science reviewer cannot really fully comprehend, or music, yung mga ganun. So, siya i-record. Hello? Ayun. Wow. Actually, want to take this opportunity actually sa REB, no? Na we are calling for willing participation, most especially actually for consultants. Mahalaga po kasi sa amin siguro to have a lot of consultants from various disciplines, most especially doon siguro sa well-honed na sa ginagawa nila. So like for example, for music, for film, those are the things na medyo mas kailangan po namin ng independent consultants
Ano yun?
natin
Consultants for technical yun.
for technical.
Kasi
Opo.
iba yung expertise ng technical dun sa human participants. But they can give some insights.
Insights. Opo.
Kasi which is allowed, which is not allowed.
Opo. Kasi like for example, yung concern niyo po sa children. So kunwari sa teatro or sa film, they would think na napaka-fictional naman yung ginagawa ng mga bata na actors, let's say, right? So parang, how do you qualify the concept of risk pagdating doon as opposed sa nagda-drug testing ka sa bata? So may
Anong
physiological.
tawag dito? There are times na as simple as as simple as observing the child. There are rules when you handle the child. Kailangan blurred ka agad ng mukha ng bata. If they are below an age na wala pa silang capability for an ascent on their own, kailangan black ang mukha ng bata. Wala kang gagawin. Hindi mo 100% yun. Nagulat kami kasi sinabi ng FLCD yun. Yun ang rule ng rule para sa young children.
Pero technically, pagdating sa film, hindi blurred yung mukha ng mga bata. So, parang, because they are actors in the film.
Oh.
So, ang siguro po yung concern lang namin would be, it would be great for niche disciplines like that to have better representation as reviewers doon sa panel para po mas mag-guide ng maayos yung what really is a risk as defined by their discipline as well.
Ano po, dun sa example na mga nag-actors, child actors, hindi ko alam sa Pilipinas, pero sa ibang bansa kasi merong mga certain limitations lang sila na hindi sila pwede mag-work during certain periods or parang
Tsaka merong
morning lang sila, hindi sila pwede mag-overtime. Opo,
tsaka
dapat
merong bantay na may
may guardian. Opo. So, at least pero kung yun nga po, kung sa film gaganap sila ng as an actor in a thesis, na film thesis, gano'n, dapat
ano na yun.
yung bare minimum yun na
Hindi, pero
parang
ano yun, controlled ng discipline yun eh. Kasi may mga regulation within the discipline.
regulation.
Yeah.
Yan, thank you, Ma'am Azanza. Di ba meron po kayong participants sa sensory evaluation, ano, when you develop food? So, kasi kami noon, before ng ethics na yan, we have some services requiring human participants, no? Kunwari, nagpagawa sa amin na how effective itong deodorant na ito. Oh, ginawa namin yan sa isang company. So, Paco-cover ba yun? It's not research, but it is services. So, hindi ko alam kasi sa part ng
Extension work ito.
extension. O, kasi mabilisan lang yan. And then, the company will pay the panelists.
Pero as far as the company is concerned, that's research. You are doing extension, but that's still research.
Mm.
So, dapat may ethics clearance yung company
Company.
na nagbibigay sa inyo. Hihingan nyo. Oo, dapat may ethics clearance yung kanilang. Anong unang panahon wala pa?
And meron kang gift pack o something, pakakainin, no? Oh, isipin niyo yung kilikili.
Ang tawag dito,
Kinakaon namin yung mikrobyo, napatid kami.
ang tawag dito, the research protocol given to you mas pag ngayon yon kailangan may ethics clearance yun.
Actually, ma'am, kaming gumawa. So, dapat mag-a-apply kami?
Mag-a-apply kayo
Okay.
kung kayo gumawa. Noong unang panahon din, nung nag-aaral ako sa labas, panelist ako ng mga ganyan kasi $30. ano,
Oo, malaki yan eh. Oo.
super sensitive ako sa salt. So, nakasama ako sa panel. Yung deodorant na sinabi mo, naging panelist din ako. Yung binubugahan kami ng panel ng deodorant.
Di, ma'am, yung iba nga kilikili
Hindi,
talaga,
saka may-
aamuyin.
Meron-
Ganun talaga
Sa
product development sa deodorant.
Ano siya, yun sa amin naman, meron siyang amoy at saka meron siyang color na inilalabas pero nakatagal kami. Oo. Ano mo ng satisfaction, $30. Eh nung nag-aaral ka, malaking bayad.
Kasi di ba, ma'am, no?
Wala pa ng ethics review.
Sa food development kasi, di ba, ma'am, laging merong sensory evaluation. So, not everybody will be qualified. Meron talagang mga taong qualified.
It would be healthy adults. Healthy adults. And the food will undergo, alam to sa college, will undergo actually a clearance, biochemical, and microbial before the actual testing, then it goes. Kasi nag-involve din ako nag-extend ako ng shelf life ng isang commodity for a DOST project. Kailangan syempre pag in-extend mo shelf life, magpapakain ka. In-extend muna namin ang shelf life, tapos nag-microbiological and biochemical test kami before, pag na-establish na yung protocol, tsaka kami gumawa ng sensory evaluation, and that was approved. Oo. Kaya lang, kailangan establish mo muna ang clearance for safety. So, biochemical as well as microbial, sinaestablish namin. Ano na yon? Parang naging standard test na sa sensory sa amin. Okay.
Tanong ko lang, ma'am, nabanggit nyo kanina na kinailangan niyo rin ng training for social science type.
Yes.
Saan po kayo nag-training?
Ano nga ba yung pangalan? Binigyan tayo ng ng CHED, no? PSSP. Nagbigay ang CHED ng ang daming slots. So lahat halos ng faculty ng college namin ay napatrain ko.
Mahal kasi,
Libre.
oo nga
Libre
po,
yung
mga
amin.
5,000 kasi po yung training. That is why, yun din po yung ini-endeavor namin ngayon na parang at the very least, we've requested maximum ng 150 kasi yun lang po yung ma-accommodate ng NIH ngayon. Pero we got a discount pero technically 4 to 5,000 per person po yung training usually na it will run for 3 to 4 days. Kaya actually siguro po we want to take this opportunity from sa UPD REB as well. Now we're really inviting everyone from different colleges, whether you currently agree to the ethics practice or not, na to give it a try. Na if you actually kasi kasi may ang hirap i-handle supposedly ng mga contentions ng marami. And if you are really concerned on the accuracy, yung aptness nung kung paano hina-handle yung protocols nyo, the only way to address that is actually the participation of the people from your discipline themselves to make sure that obviously the people reviewing the protocols will understand yung gusto nyong gawin, which is understandable kasi I've heard kunwari sa UP Manila, it's a battle of ego in many instances na mag-aaway sila na parang anong karapatan ng isa na magsabi ng ganito ay hindi ito yung disiplina niya. Unfortunately, UP Manila is also limited by the number of participating reviewers. So if you want to avoid encountering that, it would be great for everyone from various disciplines to really actually consider participating as panel reviewers as well with UP DREP. And on our part, we will make sure that all of you will get the most appropriate training siguro before we can start reviewing.
Ang ano niyan ay, ang guide sa amin ng CREB, you have to stand for the protection of human participants. But you need to be diplomatic in all your dealings because yun nga, labanan ng ego yan. Kailangan hindi mo ilalabas ang iyong ego. Kaya ang guide niya sa amin ay you have to stand for the protection of the human participants and just make yourself clear, but do not engage unnecessarily.
Okay, thank you po. It's a very meaningful discussion. Marami pong salamat. Before we officially end, I hope you give us enough time. We'll just confirm the certificate of appreciation. Thank you po. So the University of the Philippines, Diliman, dito na lang po siguro tayo, sorry. The University of the Philippines, Diliman Research Ethics Board awards this certificate of appreciation to Professor Emeritus Dr. Maria Patricia Verzo Azanza for exemplifying her expertise and contributing invaluable knowledge as the resource speaker for the third seminar of the monthly ethics seminar series Etika Inan at Etika Alaman, entitled Operationalization of the College of Home Economics Research Ethics Committee or CHEREC, held on April 11, 2024 at the NSRI conference room and via Zoom and Facebook Live. Marami pong salamat, ma'am. Okay, sorry. Maraming pong salamat for everyone who attended on-site. Thank you po. And for everyone who stayed on Zoom and Facebook Live, thank you very much. And please continue joining us every second Thursday of the month and kindly accomplish the evaluation form for a certificate of attendance for those who are interested. Okay. And then the next episode would be on May 16, 2024. And we will forecast who will be the next resource person as soon as we can do. Okay. We will just send out an alert information drive for the next monthly ethics seminar series. Marami pong salamat, everyone. Salamat po talaga. Thank you.